Hi, I am Jerry and Quick, and I wrote the Mud Pole Theory with the goal to unite and bring us closer together as a nation with the truth concerning our dark past history so that you can know and understand the underlying causes that are dividing us as a nation. Also, so that you can know and understand how it has and is still being used today to divide us as a nation. I grew up very, very poor in a small rural city in Alabama. During my childhood, it was hard for me to understand why I had very, very little, while the other children that I went to school with and interacted with had so much more than I had. I was envious, and I guess you could say that I was jealous, and I always felt inferior to the other children. While there were those children that did pick on me and make fun of me, my friends always treated me as an equal. As I got older, I began to understand why we were so poor and why we didn't have a lot of the things that other children had. My father dropped out of school in the 6th grade to go to work to help support his family so that he did not have a good education and did not qualify for the higher paying jobs. This is part of my motivation to get an education so that I could have a better quality of life for myself and my family. As I stated in my first video, I was able to get my Juris Doctorate degree, pass the bar exam, and become a lawyer. People are no different today than they were when I was growing up. However, today we live in a more materialistic society than I grew up in. There are people today who have expensive homes and estates, drive very expensive cars, and have the money to buy almost anything that they want. It is only human for us to want to be able to afford the same things. However, this desire to want the same things and have a better life for you and or your family can make you vulnerable and susceptible to listen to and believe things that are being told which may not be true. Propaganda to get your vote. Since the early 1940s, the Democratic Party has not only been known as the party of the people, it has also been known as the Socialist Party. In the past, even though socialism has been discussed and taught in our colleges and universities, socialism has not been a major factor in our politics until the presidential election of 2016, when Bernie Sanders ran on the Democratic ticket and advocated democratic socialism as his platform. However, Bernie Sanders lost the Democratic nomination to Hillary Clinton, who subsequently lost to President Trump. During President Trump's State of the Union speech, he stated very emphatically that the United States would never become a socialist nation. The TV camera immediately focused on Bernie Sanders, who has now announced that he will be running on a Democratic ticket during the 2020 presidential election. Again, Bernie Sanders is running on a platform of democratic socialism, but this time he is not the only Democratic candidate that is openly running on a platform that supports democratic socialism. According to the statistics that I saw, there are currently over 200 candidates who have registered as a presidential candidate for the 2020 presidential election under the Democratic Party. While not every candidate is running on a socialist platform, it seems that the major candidates who are getting the most attention are advocating their support for democratic socialism. As previously stated, Bernie Sanders ran in 2016 advocating democratic socialism and is running again in 2020 advocating and supporting democratic socialism as his platform, even though his platform has been criticized as advocating a socialist society and not a socialistic economy. Throughout the Mud Pole Theory in my videos, I've emphasized education, knowledge, and understanding, and that will apply here when you are considering voting on any candidate or candidates who advocate and support democratic socialism. Democratic socialism offers free health care, Medicare for all, a free education provided by the government, wealth distribution, Just to name a few. The old saying is that nothing is free, which is very, very true. As Thomas Sowell said, the politicians will say anything that you want to hear in order to get your vote. There's also an old saying, beware of a wolf in sheep's clothing, and when it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is not true. In my last video on economic inequality, I stated that it is a very, very complicated subject and hard to understand. Democratic socialism is even more complicated and even harder to understand, but before you vote on any candidate that advocates and supports democratic socialism, do your research, do your homework before casting your vote, because once we become a democratic socialist nation, there will be no turning back. In order to better understand what democratic socialism is, it, quote, is a political philosophy that advocates political democracy alongside social ownership of the means of production, with an emphasis on self-management and democratic management of economic institutions within a market of some form of decentralized planned socialistic economy, end quote, period. I know that definition sounds very complicated and confusing, but to sum it up, it essentially means that businesses will be owned, operated, and controlled by the government. The theory is that the people we elect to run our government will be in control of dictating terms and conditions concerning how businesses are ran and conducted, something which I will discuss later. One of the first questions that usually comes up is, who's going to pay for all of the free stuff? Because it's going to have to be paid for by someone. Of course, the most obvious answer is that the government will pay for it. The question then is, where will the government come up with the money? Again, the answer is very simple. Just raise the taxes. This is where the wealth tax comes into play. Tax the wealthy people because they have the money to pay for and support those socialistic programs. Currently, according to the statistics that I saw, the wealthy are currently paying approximately 73% of the taxes that are paid in every year to support the government. This reminds me of pre-Civil War when the South was paying a 70% tax to support the government. At what point in time did the wealthy put their foot down and say no? As I stated in my last video, it not only takes ingenuity and motivation, but it also takes money to make money. When it reaches a point where they can no longer make money, they simply refuse to continue investing their time and money into a socialistic economy. This is basically what happened in the 50s, 60s, and 70s when corporate America began to move their operations and production of products overseas to avoid the 40+% tax rate in the United States. Will this be a repeat of what had previously happened when President Trump reduced the tax rate to 20%? Businesses began moving back. The unemployment rate went down. Incomes went up. And the economy vastly improved. Will socialism destroy our rebuilt economy? I'm constantly hearing complaints about the welfare state and how welfare recipients are receiving welfare payments that are not deserving. This has really become a big issue since large caravans have been immigrating from South and Central America to the U.S. borders. According to a statement that I saw on Facebook, the legal recipients are currently drawing $3,800 per month in benefits, while Social Security recipients who are paid into Social Security only receiving an average of $1,200 per month. The reason that this started in the 1960s and 70s through the United Nations, without getting sidetracked and going into a lot of details, simply put, the United States is obligated to provide the illegal immigrants with political asylum and provide humanitarian treatment while in the U.S.A. Recently, I saw where President Trump asked for reimbursement from the UN for some of those expenses. Does anyone really believe that that will happen? Should the wealthy refuse and avoid paying a wealth tax, then who would the burden fall on to pay those taxes that will support the socialistic programs being proposed by the Democrats? According to Thomas Sowell, the historical facts, the evidence shows that the tax burden will fall on the middle and upper middle class. According to Thomas Sowell, they will pay approximately 68 to 70% of the taxes under a socialistic government. This tax will not include the other federal, state, and local taxes that they will have to pay. Earlier, I had mentioned Andrew Yang, who is a Democratic candidate for president and who advocates and supports an economy that is both socialism and capitalism. That's not really unique because we already have policies that are socialistic. The Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare, is a health care system that is ran by government. As we all know, the Affordable Health Care Act has turned out to not only be a failure, but has not done anything to make health care more affordable nor available to the people, especially the poor people who it was intended to help. During the 2016 presidential campaign, both Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders admitted that it was a failure, but stated that with a few changes, it would be fine. In my opinion, the only thing that can be done is to repeal it and have the insurance companies compete for the business, something which has been successful with Medicare. Our school systems have also become more socialistic and have been run by the federal government under Obama's No Child Left Behind plan. Recently, President Trump made the statement that he was going to turn the schools back to the states because they could do a better job at running the schools than the federal government was doing or the federal government had done. As I stated in another video, charter schools have been doing a much better job and has a higher success rate than do the public schools. They are not run by the government. While there are other socialistic programs that are being run by government, these are the two that I am most concerned about and the two that most all of you are concerned about. Recently, I read where Americans United is blaming the failure of our public school systems on the Trump administration. Of course, the public school systems were failing long before Trump was elected president, so I don't see where that really applies. There are also several states that are operating under some socialistic policies. First one to come to mind is Nancy Pelosi's home state of California. Because of California's socialistic policies, mainly to help the illegal immigrants, the sanctuary cities, California's taxes have gone up substantially. California now has the highest taxes in the country with the lowest quality of life. It is well known that there are those who are leaving California and moving to other states because of the high taxes and low quality of life. I watched a YouTube video of a gentleman who had lived in California all of his life and over the years had built a very prosperous business. Because of the high taxes being put on his business, his son had left California and moved to Tennessee to live and relocate the business. This is just one example of businesses moving. Not only are businesses moving from California because of the taxes, but there are individuals who are also moving because of the high taxes. Should Democratic Socialism win in 2020 and U.S.A. become a socialistic government, the wealthy will be in a position to move and escape the stranglehold of socialism, but the vast majority of the population will have no place to run to and will be trapped in socialism's stranglehold. To support and give credibility to their arguments for socialism, the Democratic Socialists customarily point to different socialistic nations where socialism is working and where it is providing a better life to its people. However, these claims are not supported by true historical facts, by proof, or by evidence. In most of these socialistic nations, the taxes are high, the unemployment rates are high, and like California, the quality of life is not very good. Most of the countries who have adopted socialism have actually gotten away from a lot of their socialistic policies because of the tax deficit to support their socialistic policies. Sweden has now started to sell and privatize most of its businesses. While its health care is still socialistic, like Canada, the quality of health care is not nearly as good as it is in the U.S. It may take months to get to see a doctor, and then the medical treatment needed may not be covered. It's like Joe Biden said when he was vice president under Obama, getting old is inevitable, and we will eventually die anyway. There's even a candidate running on the Democratic ticket for president who has said pretty much the same things. In order to get a better understanding of what can happen under socialism, we need to take a close look at Argentina and what is going on there today prior to becoming a socialistic nation. Argentina was one of the largest oil-producing countries in the world and was ranked as the 5th most prosperous country economically. After adopting socialism, Argentina has pretty much disappeared as one of the most prosperous countries in the world. Gas, power, and other necessities are being rationed. I see on the news where the people are rioting in the streets and breaking into stores to steal food because they are hungry. Is this the future that we want for the U.S.A? Another good example is Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia became a socialist nation in the early 70s, and because it just was not working, Yugoslavia tried to escape the stranglehold that socialism had on their country. Finally, in 1984, Yugoslavia was finally able to get out of the stranglehold that socialism had on it. The biggest thing that drew my attention to socialism was the claim of wealth distribution. I knew that if all the wealth was equally distributed among all the citizens of the U.S.A., I should not only get enough money to pay off all of my debts, but that I would be in a position to live out the rest of my life in the lap of luxury, which is very, very appealing to me. However, there's a big difference between reality and a dream. During my research and preparation to write the mudpole theory, I watched a YouTube video where Oprah Winfrey was interviewed concerning her support for socialism. During the interview, the interviewer asked her 3, maybe 4 different times whether she would be willing to put her money, her fortune, into a pool to be divided among the American people. She never answered that question. It's easy to understand that most of the rich or super rich would never be willing to pool their money and divide it equally among the American people. While some may have been born wealthy, a lot of them have earned their wealth and are not willing to share the fruits of their labor with someone who has done nothing to earn their share. Probably the biggest myth that attracts people to socialism is their belief that under socialism ran by the government, the people will not only have more input on how businesses is ran and the income that they will be getting, but they will have more influence on how our government is actually ran. In reality, the ones who are in power now will be the same ones who will be in power under socialism. As Thomas Sowell said, they will be serving their own self-interest and not the interests of the people. My goal in writing the mudpole theory is to unite and bring us closer together as a nation so that we the people can be in control and have a voice on how our government is ran. The United States Constitution already provides us with a means to do just that through our vote and the people that we elect to run our government. The only thing that is missing is knowledge and understanding. Well, I'm very, very interested in knowing what every candidate is advocating and promoting as part of their agenda. Just as important is to understand the future ramifications concerning their policies. Thomas Sowell said it best when he said, socialism sounds great, but in reality it just doesn't work. Which is so very, very true. I can't overemphasize how crucial and important it is that prior to voting for any candidate or candidates, know and understand what you're voting for and the potential ramifications of socialism. In my next video, I will discuss capitalism. Capitalism may not be the perfect economic form of government, but it has allowed this great country of ours to prosper over the last almost 150 years. Could there be changes that could make it even better? Join me in my next video and we will discuss some changes that could help. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed watching this video and that you have learned some truthful facts that will benefit you in the future. Please like and subscribe below and feel free to share this video. I not only welcome, but I encourage you to leave your meaningful and constructive comments below so that we can have the meaningful and constructive conversations, discussions, and our dialogues that we will need to get to know and understand one another better so that we can unite and come closer together as a nation. I invite you to go to my website, themudpoletheory.com, and subscribe to receive my newsletter and submit any articles that you may have for publication. While there, go to my store page where you can click on the Amazon icon and order the Mudpole Theory through Amazon, or you can order the Mudpole Theory through Barnes & Noble online, Books A Million online, or your local bookstore can order it for you through Ingram Publishers. Thanks again for watching. God bless America.